Do you sometimes feel like you're walking on eggshells when you're talking to your spouse? You're wondering if you say the wrong thing, is this going to trigger an argument? Is this person going to get mad at you? Or maybe they're going to disengage and walk away. Do you feel stuck in a cycle where every conversation turns into a battle or an escape? When things get heated, do you or your spouse either fight or run away? Well, if you feel that way, you're not alone. Many couples struggle with the fight or flight response when conflict comes, and over time, it can quietly destroy your connection. Maybe you're the one who fights, raising your voice, pushing your point, determined to win, or maybe you're the one who flees, shutting down, withdrawing, or physically leaving to avoid the confrontation. If flight mode is your default, it might feel like the safest option. But in reality, avoiding conflict doesn't bring peace. It creates distance. It leaves your spouse feeling unheard, and it builds emotional walls that are hard to tear down. So how do you break free from this cycle and build a stronger, more loving marriage? Well, in this recording, we're going to look at why some people shut down during conflict, how fear drives this response, how flight mode damages your marriage, and most importantly, what the Bible teaches about how you can overcome it. Hi, I'm Kelly Dupee, pastor, police chaplain, Christian marriage coach, and author of the book, Turn It Up, How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. So let's dive into this. What do you think is the real reason that you shut down? Well, it's fear. At its core, flight mode isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being misunderstood, fear of making things worse, or fear of rejection. Maybe you grew up in a home where conflict was loud and chaotic, so avoiding it feels like the only way to feel safe. Or maybe silence was modeled as keeping the peace. But peace doesn't come from avoidance. It comes from understanding the problems, dealing with it bravely, and resolving the problem. God doesn't want fear to control your marriage. He tells us in Isaiah 41:10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." You are not alone in this. God is with you even in the hardest conversations. When you feel attacked, either physically or verbally, a part of your brain called the amygdala kicks in, and it takes over, and you go into fight or flight mode. The blood flow actually shifts from the front part of your brain, called the prefrontal cortex, where you make good, rational decisions, to the amygdala. This means you stopped acting rationally and start focusing on simply surviving. For some, this causes them to attack. For others, this physical reaction causes you to run away and disengage. And when you disengage, your spouse doesn't see it as keeping the peace. They probably see it as rejection, which creates even more anger in their heart. Over time, flight mode creates emotional disconnection, unresolved issues that pile up, and a lonely, distant marriage. Proverbs 18:21 says the tongue has the power of life and death. When we withhold communication or shut down, we starve our marriage of the connection it needs to thrive. How do we stay engaged when everything in us wants to run? Before I share some of those biblical strategies, let me mention that I wrote a brief couples communication guide. It's a PDF that I'd love to send you for free. Just put the word guide in the comments or use the link in the description and I'll send it to you. Well, let me give you some biblical ways to stay engaged in conflict. The first one is this: remind yourself that God is with you. When conflict makes you want to escape, pause and remind yourself, I am safe because God is with me. Psalm 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Instead of believing, I can't handle this, shift your mindset and say to yourself, God is with me. I am not afraid. I am safe even at this moment, even in this hard conversation. You see, your security doesn't come from avoiding conflict. It comes from knowing that God is with you no matter what. So remind yourself of that. Don't listen to the voice of fear and instead drown that voice out with the voice of faith inside your heart and inside your head. Strategy number 2 is this: speak instead of staying silent. Proverbs 15:1 says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Here's the key: a gentle answer is still an answer. Silence isn't gentleness, it's avoidance. If you feel overwhelmed, instead of shutting down, try saying, "I hear you. I need a moment to deal with this or process this, but I want to work through this with you." Or then an easier way is simply repeat back what you heard the person say. And once again, I've taught this on other recordings. Here's what I hear you saying, and then you give it back to them. And then you ask, is that right? Well, staying silent just avoids the problem, but speaking up and responding in a gentle way is going to keep the communication going. And this makes it open as well instead of shutting your spouse out. Remember, your spouse doesn't need you to have all the answers in the moment. They just need to know you're present and willing to work through it together. And what they're really looking for is for you to understand them. So that's why repeating it back is such a great strategy. Hey, if these tips are helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button now so you can get all my daily short and weekly longer videos. So strategy number 3 is this: ask God for strength in the moment. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Well, believe it or not, that applies to this situation too. That includes staying engaged in difficult conversations and not running away, either physically or emotionally, just shutting down. Before reacting, take a deep breath and say, "God, help me stay present. Give me wisdom, patience, and courage, and guide me as to what I should say." When we invite God into our conflicts, He equips us to handle them with grace. Strategy number 4 is this: take a time out and then come back. In other words, don't disappear, but return to the conversation. Earlier, I talked about how the blood flow shifts from the logical part of your brain to the emotional part, causing you to go into fight or flight. Well, the way to deal with this is to call a brief timeout. 15 minutes or so will do it, maybe 20. Not only does this calm the angry person down, but it also quiets the voice inside of you that wants you to run away and stay away. So when you go on a timeout, it's simple. Just breathe or take a drink of water and then think about what you want to say. This is called responding instead of reacting. The angry person needs to do the same thing. Take a drink of water, think about what they need to say, and then here's the thing. A timeout is a promise to return. You are not just avoiding the issue. Many couples I talk to say that, yeah, we'll calm down, but then when we come back, we don't talk about what bothered us or the conflict or the problem. We just ignore it and hope it goes away. Well, sweeping it under the rug like that is only going to cause a tripping hazard. So deal with it. So let the person who brought up the issue or the angry person then tell you what they're feeling. Then respond to that by repeating it back. Then when they make a suggestion or make a request, you can respond to that request. Maybe you need to apologize. Maybe you need to repent of something and promise to do something differently next time. And then the other thing you can do is ask for forgiveness. You see, the difference between taking a moment to gather your thoughts and completely avoiding the conversation is huge. So take the time out and promise to come back and then deal with the issue. Ephesians 4:26 says, don't let the sun go down while you're still angry, which means you need to calm down first. It doesn't mean you need to resolve it, just to calm down. So if emotions are running high, set a healthy boundary. Just simply say, hey, we need a timeout. Can I have 10 or 15 minutes? And then let's come back and talk about this. You could also say, I need to work through this with you. Can we pause and come back to it in a few minutes or in an hour? This reassures your spouse that you're not abandoning or running away from the issue, but you're preparing to handle it in a healthier way. Strategy number 5 is simply this: stay 1 minute longer than you want to. Breaking free from flight mode doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. But every small step you take, staying in the conversation a little longer, speaking when you'd normally stay silent, trusting that God is with you, builds a stronger, more connected marriage. The next time conflict arises, challenge yourself. Stay 1 minute longer before walking away. Say one more sentence before shutting down. And then while you're doing that, pray and ask God for strength. Little by little, these small choices will add up to big changes in your marriage. You don't have to let fear or avoidance control your relationship. With God's help, you can learn to stay present, communicate with love, and build a marriage that thrives. So take a deep breath. You can do this. You can overcome that flight response inside your heart. You can communicate in a way that brings peace and understanding. You don't have to do it alone. God is with you. And if this message encouraged you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And remember, your marriage is worth fighting for together. If you'd like help managing anger in your marriage, let me suggest you watch my video called Anger Management for Marriage. I'll put the link in the description. Well, thanks for watching. I pray that God would bless you, and may God bless your marriage.